We do so much on the daily. We break new records on the daily within these subs. We just had like the largest migration of a subreddit in 24 hours that I think has ever existed. We essentially liquidated the GME subreddit. Word got out, there was some shady stuff going on. Renzel, Red Chess, Pixel started getting backlash for it. They said, we're going to make our own sub. And everybody followed in like 48 hours. That is like 250,000 people are now in this subreddit because they want to know, yeah, sure, we're posting memes. Some of those memes are funny. I get a good kick out of some of the stuff that's posted on there. But you have to do something between the big moments, right? And to still have 40, 50, 60,000 people active on a daily basis is just saying like they're just sitting there waiting for the next bombshell to be dropped because they want to know more. And if you expect me to roll over when people like Jordan Belfort come out and they try to push people down that are keeping this community up, I'm sorry. I'm not going to do that. That's not going to happen. I'm going to defend this community, every single person in this community. When I see stuff like that that's being called out or that is just wrong, I'm going to call it out. If you don't want that about my personality, that's because that's the same thing that made me write Citadel Has No Clothes.
And that's what we love about you, man. I haven't seen that kind of negativity yet. I'm sorry you had to deal with it. This is just not a good representation of. Oh, it looks like I thought he was just holding his arm very steadily. I think I'll be reconnected with him in just a second. But yes, I cannot like emphasize enough that people in the chat are tired of erasure, are tired of utilizing silence by the mainstream media to hurt the people that mean most to us. Right. The context some of you are asking for is a tweet by Jordan Belfort asking if you want pump. 5 days. He wants to get up to 500,000 followers on Twitter in 5 days. While we get reconnected to Austin, give me a sec to check in on him. As a reminder, this is the fight that we're constantly fighting, right? A fight against public personas that are not playing fair.
I'm back.
Hey, there you are.
Getting doxxed or something. I'm just kidding. I don't know. My VPN just cut out and reboot back on. So
people are jacked to the atobitt. They're saying atobitt for Congress, atobitt for president. Tell us a little bit more about the breadcrumbs. Not only what you want to share with us. I know you already covered a lot about the AMA.
Yeah.
But what kind of platform message would you like to share?
Okay. So you guys want to go over some notes? Because this is all like unofficial. I don't even know what I'm going to ask her about yet, but I do have a lot of notes for House of Cards too. So you remember that participant list that I wrote or that I found? I posted and I said, I've got your name and number, and I'm going to come for it. I'm going to expose you. So what I've done was I took that entire list of 15 pages of DTC participants, and what I've done is I went through and docked every single FINRA report for these people. And the people that stood out, the people that were interesting. So I wrote down some notes. And ironically, so here's the cool part. So a lot of these big dog, big hitters, House of Cards built the foundation, right? So we're talking about this is what's happening. This is what's going on. Dr. Trimbath's going to come in and explain even more of the effery that's going on behind the scenes and then set the platform for her points talking about these are the people that are suspected of doing this. You know, your Merrill Lynch's, your Goldman Sachs, your JP Morgan's. And so I started keeping tabs on those, the same people that she's talking about in her book. We'll get the okay and validation from her and make sure that we're going down the right path. And then I'm just going to blow this thing wide open. So what we've got with the first page right here, the first one that I went into, it's all alphabetical order, nice and neat. ABN AMRO Clearing of Chicago, LLC. It's number one. Their participant number is 0695. I pulled up the FINRA report. 77 violations, understating their margin accounts. I think it was pretty much an intentional thing. No audit records found for over 65 clients.
Oh.
So that was pretty cool. And then also the securities side. So ABN AMRO Securities, LLC. So you know how you have Citadel, and then you have Citadel Securities, and then you have Citadel securities institutional stuff like. Well, so this is another branch of them. They have one violation there, and their repos doubled from. Looks like their repo account, their total repo balance doubled to $8 billion from 2019. So that was interesting. Next on the list, Alpine Securities, 44 violations. They're owned by SCA Clearing. Next on the list, Apex Clearing, 52 violations, margin disclosures, short interest disclosures, inaccurately reporting thousands of large options interest positions, and among those, failures to deliver. Drop down the list, skipping a couple here. Axos Clearing, 13 violations, margin interest, suspicious activity, failures to deliver, large open interest violations. And you and I were just talking about this the other day with the OCC proposal, where they're talking about skin in the game.
Right.
So one of the things that I'm really going to try and segue into with this AMA is let's look at some of these most recent proposals from the DTC. Let's try and make sense of it. Let's get her opinion, right? So she posted the bombshells, but now after her book has been published, we also need to look at what the DTC is doing, okay? So I want to get her opinion on like that OCC, that OC, what could that mean? Her point in her book is that all these DTC participants, they don't have to disclose information to each other about each other. So the DTC is not obligated to say, hey, here's what Jack's doing, here's what Sally's doing. Their positions get to stay, or their business is their business, and they hide that under the veil of creating basically a fair playing environment for everybody, right? Well, knowing that, if you're the DTC, why are you making these proposals now to start saying, okay, we're going to have to up the supplemental liquidity ratio, we're going to have to, what did they say?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's in OCC 801.
Minimum capital requirement.
Right.
The capital requirement that you have to have on hand, because furthermore, don't forget, right? If somebody defaults, the DTC goes into their total deposit account, not just that member's default account. So if Jack defaults, the DTC goes into the pot with Jack, Sally, Beth, everybody's deposits that are held with the DTC. So it sounds like they're doing a lot to up that requirement and make sure they have a much bigger buffer. And to go into more detail about the inner workings of what she's talking about, and to go into more detail, or to tie that back in with her book, it's better to fail to deliver, because you never have to close out the failure to deliver. So the DTC says, well, people won't have to fail if we can just increase that deposit account. So it seems like there are a lot of stuff going on with these people. And I mean, that was like, what, 5 on the first page? I didn't even get halfway through the first page. Bank of America is next. So some of these big dogs on here, man, I mean, there's just a lot of suspicious activity. And to get her feedback on what the DTC is doing, what the NSCC is doing, what the OCC, which are all parts of the DTCC, right? The NSCC is running the background stuff. They're doing the back end code stuff. The DCC is working, or the DTC is working on like the front end, right? They're doing, the actual exchanges. So there are these implementations, these proposals coming out. Instead of having our subreddit like try and explain them, right? We find them, or people have been finding them, and bringing them back to the subreddit to say, now we have this collection and all these opinions. I want her take on what that could mean about this stuff that we're talking about right here.
So you mentioned the NSCC. The 005 is the new rule that came out. Have you had a chance to take a look at that?
I stopped looking at a lot of them. We have the list of the proposals on there, and I'm gonna share those with her, but I haven't been briefed on that one. No.
Essentially moving the minimum deposit requirement from 10 grand to 250 grand seems like a pretty small, I mean, in relative terms, 25x the amount of money that they need to put in, but seems like still a pretty small amount of money in order to keep your position in the pot.
It's not just per person. So when everybody has to up their position, or is this to become like a new participant? Like, is this to say in order to become a participant with us, you have to have it? Or is this saying anybody that's existing with us has to up their portfolio, their deposit? I'm
pretty sure it's anyone who exists currently as a member.
Okay. If that's the case, multiply that by, I have 15 pages here of people with I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 on the first 1/3 of one page. That's 200. That's 2.5 million.
Right. I think there's a four digits worth of members in there.
There's what?
I'm pretty sure when they did the calculation, they went up to like a couple $1 billion worth, multiplied by 250,000. So there's a lot of money.
I actually have this note because I just looked it up. She's got a lot of this talking about the NSCC and their